This season has a lot to prove for new fans and longtime viewers. New audiences may be kids finally getting around to watching the series for the first time, or it's kids that saw the Power Rangers movie trailer and heard there was a TV series on there for them to watch. Longtime viewers need to be shown that the new Saban era can indeed hold its own, since while Dino Charge is pretty great, Super Dino Charge dropped the ball hard and fast. Like any new Ranger seasons, I'm always excited for new beginnings. It's usually pretty fun. We get to meet a new team of heroes, while also meeting an array of new villains. The costume reveals the first morph, so the more exciting elements of watching Power Rangers. We're not off to a great start. Though with the theme song it starts off well, with some nice bits in the first few seconds, but then the vocals kick in and it just loses me. It's just too tough and gruff for the new approach the Power Rangers has taken. Samurai had its darker elements as Jaden fought Decker, but everything seemed pretty lighthearted. I mean, I don't see the series being as intense as something like In Space or Time Force. Plus, it seems to go on like 10 minutes. Too long. Get it, the team is called Ninja Steel. You don't have to remind us. The premise of the series is rather interesting, although we don't actually get it until the second episode, where it all falls apart for me. Unlike most seasons where the main villains have either recruited members of their army or create monsters to fight the Rangers, our main villain Galvanax puts a bounty on their Power Rangers. He is the champion of the universe's #1 TV show. It's not a joke. Galaxy Warriors. As soon as he became, I guess, their general manager, kind of like how Kurt Angle is the GM of Monday Night Raw. He can fight, yeah, but doesn't want for some reason. So instead, he has various other contenders aiming to be champions, like Jinder Mahal. Just joking with that one. Like him to go out and kill the Rangers. This is all in the quest to attain the Ninja Nexus, a giant shuriken-looking item that once held the Ninja Power Stars, which were obviously the conduits of the Rangers. The Nexus held 6, and by the end of episode 2, Fortune Steel, we see all 6 end up in a bit of a twist at the end. I didn't see coming, actually. For the Rangers, the story goes like this. The Red Ranger, Brody, is the son of the greatest ninja of all time. I'll get to that and how it may impact the rest of Power Rangers in a second. Basically, the Ninja Star Shuriken appeared to him one day and covered in Ninja Steel material that can give Ninja Power Stars its strength, kind of like adamantium in their universe. Covered, then he carved it off and kept it someplace safe, and has become the new target for the villain since it contains great ninja power, like the Ninja Coins. Our Rangers have, I guess, taken on the task of protecting the Ninja Steel from the Alvanax, his champions, until they find Brody's father, who went missing 10 years ago. Prior, Brody was captured by and became Galvanax's servants. Mick and Redbot, 2 allies of Brody, will also help the Rangers, serving as their tech gurus for the team. So, what's the problem with the premise? Well, it's interesting. There's a bounty on the Rangers. It's unique, though. An obvious plot hole, send out a bunch of monsters to kill them, is still relevant. Could be that Galvanax is playing by the rules of his show, but what's to stop another monster from going down and trying to kill the Rangers, unlike some previous villains? They don't live by any sort of code. Many of these warriors are vicious gladiators that just want power. Not to mention that I'm the only one speculating that their mission is to protect the Ninja Steel. By the end of episode 2, it's still unclear what their mission is besides saving the world, but the world really isn't in any danger. Galvanax and his crew aren't conquerors. From what I remember, they just host a show and look for willing participants. The entire planet is only in danger because of the Ninja Nexus, and Galvanax should only target the city. It's not like Operation Overdrive, where there's a global search going on and it's limited once again to a single area. The villains themselves aren't that interesting anyway. They have standard growly voices, and their appearance is well based in the East are a bit much, especially Galvanax. I think we'll see more promise out of these subordinates, since they appear to have wavering loyalty to Galvanax. Speaking of characters, let's get into the Rangers themselves. So far, only Pink Sarah, Haley White, and Calvin Yellow are the only standout personalities. Like previous Pink, Sarah is a charmer of the group, easy to like, and is willing to help. She is a bit too perfect, but she has the best of bunch in episode 1. Haley and Calvin feel like not only real teenagers, but have the potential to be real heroes. When they're attacked in episode 2 by the enemy, they hesitate at first to pick up whatever weapons they can. They're not martial artists, but they are effective. Plus, they're dating, opening up several potential character threads down the road. Hopefully this isn't something that just gets dropped by Power Rangers, like with Tommy and Kimberly. Power Rangers has in the past used romance as a plausible subplot. Theo would often get frustrated with as he attempted to woo Lily in Jungle Fury, and Jen's engagement to Alex in Time Force was a huge thread throughout the series. Besides the Rangers, there are a few other characters of note. Mick, played by Ranger veteran Kelson Henderson, whom you may recall played Boom in SPD, is the best character in the show so far. He's a bit dim-witted, but is well-meaning. He runs from a fight, but that's because he's been pushed into being fear as much by Galvanax. He gets assigned as the new shop teacher for the high school. Power Rangers really treats school as an afterthought here. And will probably serve as a mentor role since he seems to be exactly know what Power Rangers are. Redbot is Mick's best friend and will serve as Alpha for the season. Not as good as Alpha, but it'll work. Then there's Victor and Monty, our comic relief for the season. They're boring and unfunny and have bad slapstick. Speaking of boring and unfunny, we have Brody, the Red Ranger, who has little personality and feels rather stale. It doesn't help that the acting is mixed at best. He should be a bit more like Mick in a fight, but instead your typical adventurer who's always willing to take on any task, like many in his archetype. He's boring and easily gets excited to fight. He does miss his family though, and that'll probably serve as a driving force for this season. Preston, the Blue Ranger, is a bit of a weird character. He's charming, doesn't have luck in social circles so far. He wants to be a magician, and many of his lines are something like, "It's just like magic," and it gets old fast. However, the only thing to note is that he is Yoshi from Dino Charge's Blue Brother. His brother. Before we get into the finer points of the season, story structure and continuity of it all, I should note that I rather like the suits. The helmets are a bit weird since the symbol takes up most of the face, but the overall aesthetic of the torso is cool. The morphers are strange since they come out of nowhere, but you can see as the powers manifesting from the morphing grid itself. What's weird though is that the suits make the Rangers seem smaller. It could be because of the Sentai footage from the Ninja. The Japanese actors just smaller in stature. But it also could be the designs of the suits. It's not something I count against the show, but it's a bit weird to see our tall actors suddenly become smaller in suits when they use the Sentai footage. Not to mention, in the second episode, they're clearly using the wrong footage in the background for the villains, showing the Rangers at a power plant where they're really fighting in front of a high school. I think if I were to recommend this season, I'd start with episode 2. Haley and Calvin have a strong first impression with Mick that leads to a good humor and backstory. You get Brody's backstory in a much smaller time than in episode 1, when it seems to be take up like the entire episode. Not to mention that it's better paced and the acting's overall better. They should have had both episodes comprise a single episode, but I think they wanted to stick to the Dino Charge formula of keeping the team separate till episode 2, which is something I really don't agree with. I'm okay with having the team unite, not morph until the second episode, but having half the team morph first, but it takes away from the impact of the full team morph. There's a glorious outing that really makes you feel like what's going on here. Now some of you may say that I should reprimand Wild Force since they first see the Rangers in morph form. That's true, but we don't see morphing sequence until the end with Cole. Interesting note, the Rangers have not yet formed the Megazord, as far as I got. Which is okay with. They need to learn more about the Zords before piloting them, since they are unaware how the Zords operate. What's nice is that they give all the Zords personal names, a fun touch. However, this brings me to the final point, and one that will send most of the fans into a tizzy, the continuity. Now look, there have been seasons where it could be implied that this is the first that the team is ever hearing of Power Rangers Ninja Storm, showed Dustin celebrating the fact that Power Rangers were real, all just baffling that news of alien invasions not from Earth any conflicts that may be placed on another planet, like KO-35. Andros was the Red Space Ranger. Never saw him get his powers. It's entirely possible in this continuity, since the Power Rangers' power coins did not harness the powers of dinosaurs. The Zordon recruited Rangers on other worlds. Thus, Ninja Steel Team is the first team of Rangers on Earth has seen in over a decade. We could assume that Time Force probably happened eventually, but these kids weren't around for that, or at least weren't old enough. Another popular theory given that there's no team up for the Super Dino Charge, which is that series took place in an alternate universe. It could have been easy for them to cross over or make mention of the previous Dino-based teams, but never did. In fact, all the planets they mentioned are brand new ones, never established prior in Power Rangers, so why not? After all, the Morphin Grid is mentioned once or twice in 40 episodes, but it hasn't been mentioned in Ninja Steel yet. But besides that, that's the point. The new Ranger team can also be taking place several years in the future. Some of this will argue that can't, since SPD wouldn't be around, but I'm not sure. The SPD did travel back in time twice, along with the entire Time Force team for the legendary battle. Those temporal inflections could have affected when the events of SPD take place. Plus, first we see of Sarah's on a hoverboard, something nobody that we've ever seen before. It's explained that she wants to perfect the invention and that she's rather intelligent, but the interesting is that she can make this so well. How in the fact that Mick even says Earth is behind the times, and we even got possible foreshadowing that something has happened to the space-time continuum. That could also be a wink that the series is not yet caught up to SPD's projected date. If it does take place some years into the future, it could excuse poorly how these kids haven't heard of Power Rangers, but Brody, it makes sense. He's been away. Sarah's from out of town, and maybe place. What if they do build this 25th anniversary next year? If they can stop saying ninja in front of everything now, that'd be great. Remember guys, to like, comment, and subscribe. This was my thoughts on the show, and I'll see you guys later.